But do you have any fear that in the time we're waiting to settle what you argue is a bigger constitutional issue, that the very people with whom this terrorist was associating might be out there plotting something else? And we could have stopped it if we simply had access to that phone.
And you can say that every single time. You can say that if we can only break the law, or we can break the back of this individual, if we can break into people's homes, if we can do all these things, we might prevent something awful from happening. But the reason we have a Constitution is we do not permit lawless activity, even when people say we need to break the laws in order to prevent a greater harm. We just don't do that.
Those victims' families, you can legally argue the point that you do very eloquently and forcefully, but they want answers. And right now we're stuck in this circle of arguing constitutional privacy rights.
We're
when
presenting
on that phone might be the very identities of those who might be plotting something even worse.
You were talking about a parade of horribles before. Everybody can say that. There's going to be terrible things that are happening.
We have
unless you can do this right now.
We already have the horribles on this phone with this guy.
Now, I'm just saying that we have to have principles. We have to have balance. By the way, the court specifically set a briefing schedule. We're filing briefs. Both the government and Apple are filing briefs. There will be a hearing in a couple of weeks. Let the magistrate judge decide that. If we're successful, as I believe we are, the government can appeal that. But let the legal process take its place.
Do you think we have that kind of time? Do you think we have that kind of time?
Don't say that okay, I take it that what you're saying is we throw the legal process out, we forget about congressional authority, we forget about the balance of powers in this country, we forget about the Bill of Rights because we want to do something right now.
We want to stop follow-up attacks that might be hinted on that very phone.
I'm surprised that you would take that position because there's no principled basis to stop people in whatever law enforcement area, and we could have it all over the country. There are threats of terrorism in various different places. We have laws to restrain the ability of law enforcement people to ignore the laws. I'm surprised that you don't accept that proposition.
No, I'm surprised
because someday it might come to you.
I'm just surprised you don't accept the immediacy of what's at stake here with the phone that belonged to the perpetrator behind an attack, whose whereabouts and contacts we don't know, but might be on that phone. And we're looking at sort of legal language to excuse the actions of delay, and you might be perfectly right in your constitutional argument. I have no doubt you are. But I am saying that in the meantime, that phone sits there inaccessible, and we have no idea what might be planned next. No idea.
You've just decided that the need is sufficient, that we'll throw out the judiciary, we'll throw out Congress, and we'll throw out the Constitution.
You're exactly right. The need is sufficient. The need is real. The death of over a dozen people is real. That's your need. That's your urgency. That's what's sufficient.
Okay, the hell with the Constitution. That's basically your position.
No, the hell with more people. No. The hell with more people dying as a result of you playing this legal morass.
I understand your position. You have a program that you can articulate that position any day that you want. It doesn't matter what the rule of law is. It doesn't matter what the Constitution is. You think something should be done right now, and forget about the judiciary and forget about the Constitution. Keep making that point all you want. But if you ask me to come on this program to explain to you the other side of this, and at least you could listen to it.
I just did. And I'm just saying, on that issue and the urgency of that issue, and especially given the trauma that you yourself have gone through, wouldn't you want to make sure something like that never happens again?
If you can make sure that nothing like that happens again by throwing the Constitution in a dustbin, in the first place, that probably wouldn't succeed because there are so many ways in which we can potentially be threatened. But the one thing that we ought to stand for is the way of life that the terrorists wish to take down. They want us to overreact. They want us to disobey the law. They want us to throw away our Constitution. They want us to throw away our civil liberties because they don't like what this country stands for. And I say that it's very, very important for all of us to stand for those principles at the same time we try to root out and prevent terrorism. There's a balance there, and we should invoke the judiciary, and we should invoke Congress to do it the right way.
Do you ever think, though, that, Ted, with the best of intentions, that you are fueling and feeding the terrorists' own goal here. That
Well,
they
yeah,
know
that's
that there
very
is
nice
this process,
that's
and they
very
know
nice
this is the case.
I must submit that it is an underhanded argument to say anybody that stands up for the principles that this country was founded on, that have kept us safe for 230 years, is favoring terrorism or supporting terrorism. That's an underhanded argument. I'm ashamed of you for doing it.
Now, come on. I am not arguing with the terrorists. I'm just saying they're well aware of our process. They're well aware of how long it will take to access the phone of a terrorist that might identify other terrorists. They know of our legal process. They know of the delays. They know of our arguments trying to settle us in the courts or, as you wish, now in Congress. And they are working that and playing us like a fiddle.
Well, that's your point of view. And as far as you're concerned, and I don't know how you could possibly limit this to San Bernardino, because something could be happening somewhere else, New York, San Francisco, everywhere.
Absolutely.
You make the same argument every time, and basically you want to throw the Constitution out, because if someone says there's a threat there, we're not even sure that it exists, but if we want into that phone, this phone, your phone, whatever, just to make sure, then you would throw that out.
But Ted, this isn't an ethereal threat. This is the actual phone of the actual terrorist, right? It's not ethereal.
I know it is, and you could say that again and again with respect to other acts of terrorism, or I would think you'd even make the stronger argument when it was a threat of terrorism, when the terrorism hasn't already occurred, the perpetrators are dead. But you would surely make the same argument if it was an impending threat of terrorism.
No, in this case, we could argue that in a seminar. We now know. We now, it's occurred. People are dead. Terrorists acted. He's dead. We have the phone that he is, right?
Your position is pretty clear, and you very forcefully stated it. The dealing with the threat or the after the fact of events of terrorism is sufficient for you to throw out the Constitution. That's where you stand. I disagree, and I respectfully disagree, and we're going to resolve this in court, and we're going to encourage Congress to weigh in too. So it won't be just you. It'll be judges and the appellate system and the Constitution. That's the way it should be done.
Ted Olson, thank you very much.
Thank you, Neil.